A very, very long Republic of Ireland. Why? Because f you, that's why. I love how even in an imaginary universe where Ireland is super thick, they're still not completely united. Wonder what some of these city names are like. Very Irish, I would assume, or at least I'm hoping so. Ooh, is there a canal? Is there enough? There's probably a canal so you can still reach like the North Sea. How annoying would this really be though? I mean, it would affect some sea lanes, but not many. Okay, I don't know anything about sea lanes, so maybe I shouldn't just say that. But yeah, for some reason it is connected all the way to Newfoundland. I think it's safe to assume this is a canal since the city is called Canal Fort. I can already tell this place is probably making Chile pretty jealous. What if Africa had a Libyan rainforest and a Congo desert? Or basically their physical geography has swapped, since this is definitely not supposed to be so green up here. It's really easy to just look at this map and assume pretty much most things would stay the same, but there are so many factors behind this. I think this would change the world completely. I mean, first of all, you're talking about just moving the world's biggest dry desert all the way down here. I'm assuming we would not have to face as many hurricanes since I've read that the hurricanes start here and then they end up like going out in the Atlantic, hitting Florida every year. Would Brazil get all the hurricanes in this instance? Also, like literally no one would be living in like the Congo and Tanzania. It's kind of hard to have civilization in a giant desert, if you didn't already know. South Africa and fellow neighboring countries would be pretty cut off from the rest. Even though obviously they're not living on an island, they'd be kind of living on an island in a way. Like at least North Africa has Europe right there to support it, and then there's like a giant desert with just nothing in it. I don't even really know what South Africa would have to do in this situation. Then since this is a massive rainforest, how does that affect Europe and that entire continent and pretty much all of the continents? Imagine like an Egyptian type civilization that still builds the pyramids just randomly in the Congo though. Would Egypt even fall in a universe like that, or would they just slowly start conquering the entire continent? The world if Teddy Roosevelt got elected for a third term. A lot of people are saying no matter what your political ideology is, everyone agrees on this. Would have been an interesting time in 1912, 2 years before the First World War. That would have changed some things. Say hello to the new British Isles with the United Kingdom of Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales. Wait, no Wales. I mean Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Corlish. Gonna call this Corlish. It's a cross between Korea and English. Something extremely disturbing about this. I don't know why this feels... I hate it. Population 70 million, area 289 square kilometers. You even kept the traditionally named English cities. Hull, Nottingham, there's London. That seems pretty far inland. Bristol, we have Cornwall, basically somewhere in there. Maybe Wales is still here. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. Would they be losing more land area or would it be about the same? It looks like it might be about the same. Does this really change anything at all throughout history? That's the most hilarious part. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, that English channel is still there, which is going to save them throughout most of eternity. I think it's kind of hilarious that this changes probably nothing. Just assuming that all the rivers and mountains are the same as they are in modern England. Ooh, if the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China came to a consensus back in 1949. So basically, instead of the communists kicking the other side off to just Taiwan, they've made peace and settled the lines somewhere around here. So we kind of have like a Korean Peninsula situation, except in all of China. When you put it like that, that's actually kind of scary. I feel like in a way, it might function somewhat similarly to India and Pakistan, except instead of like a religious difference, it'd be like an ideology thing. I'd imagine there'd be a very big rivalry that would continue to build up over the decades though. Look, and the North can still support North Korea, and South Korea would be getting a lot of support from all of southern China, I think. Why is there a super thick Vietnam? Oh, also the Republic of China has a pretty big sea border, and a small addition, which I have no idea why, but they are supporting these independent states from Myanmar. So this timeline is going to assume that the northern communist side would fall just like the USSR did in 1991. So we have a mostly democratic China unifying here, except there is a free Tibet, and I'm afraid to pronounce this because I don't want to butcher it. Also, Mongolia would be given a lot of land. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but all right. Really fascinated to think, what does North Korea do in this situation? Then they literally have no friends. It is probably safe to assume they would collapse. I mean, how much does Russia care? I don't think they care that much. much. Does Russia even work with North Korea? Why does this real-life image look faker than any of the imaginary maps we've been looking at today? Something just doesn't feel right about that. Oh man, I like the thick pants. That needs to come back into style. Welcome to the Peninsula, or a world full of only our world's peninsulas, all put into one. I wonder if we can recognize them all. That's like the fun test. I don't know what this is, but 11 is Alaska. This looks like Baja California here at 10. That's definitely the Korean Peninsula. I don't know, is that Florida? It's confusing because like a little bit is added, and it's not just the peninsula themselves. Oh, is that the Yucatan Peninsula, the Arabian Peninsula, and that's attached to the Italian Peninsula. I'm glad that you brought over the islands. That was nice. We got Sweden and Norway, Iberia, South Asia, and then that thing that Russia has in number 1. I just don't recognize 12. What is 12? Oh, that's Greek. Oh yeah, I don't think I would have ever guessed that. You'd have to really turn your head for that one. But in this world, they've all been made into their own nation, a unified peninsula nation. Which peninsula will win out? That is the question. Florida Man Republic. My money's on them. Like the name of Baja Coast. Of course, we have a united Korea. I guess it really depends. Did all of the Arabian Peninsula take over that giant desert? Or is this actually habitable? And do they take over their entire population? Because if that's the case, 2 is 100% winning this. Wonder why the mountains were included, other than, you know, for like our own thing. You know, there are actually mountains here in Iberia, there's mountains here, the Himalayas. Norway has a lot of mountains. See, that's like adds to it a bit more. That makes it a little bit more cool. A lot of these peninsulas do have mountains. I actually really just want to see a simulation. I want to see who would win. What's up with Florida's extra land? Do you have something against thicky Florida? This map was designed off of a political cartoon that was made all the way back in 1913. Obviously, it was visually stunning back in the day. The problem of divided Ireland solved by a simple feat of engineering, if Scotland make no objections. So we're just going to basically fill in this middle part just with material, any sort of material, doesn't really matter what it is. And then we create a proposed channel right here. Ireland then gets to be its own island, technically by itself, and since this connects to mainland British Isles, that all makes sense now. Hey, this guy from over 100 years ago was onto something. How much would we really have to fill right here in this channel? Hundreds of miles, I'm assuming like 200 miles? That would not be fun. Also, this channel would be not worth it. What would be harder, to fill in this channel with material or create this huge canal? I'm going to say the canal, maybe. What's the depth of the ocean? It doesn't, I know it's not very deep over here in Doggerland. Wait, did I say like 200 miles? At the closest point, Scotland and this coast are only 12 miles apart. Oh, that'd be so easy. That's why migration between the two areas went on for centuries. Oh, this part that we're talking about is 25 miles, but they're literally talking about building a bridge. They're talking about building a bridge this far. They could probably fill this stuff with material. Oh, is this the 12 miles up here? Either way, I don't know what I was thinking. Roosevelt's Dream, or a UN headquarters in Niihau, the island by Hawaii. Oh, sorry, it is Hawaii. It's the westernmost main part of Hawaii. Why is this giving me like Dr. Evil vibes though? I don't know why this feels like a James Bond villain plan. The island is just 72 square miles, but with a population of 34,000. Wow. So it was founded in 1945, and certain languages that are spoke there are Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Hawaiian, Russian, and Spanish. I'm assuming German wasn't included since this was in like 1945. We weren't really big fans of them back then. Should have mentioned, we're talking about Franklin D. Roosevelt, not Teddy Roosevelt. I know we were just talking about him earlier. Yeah, the question is, do you still allow this to be a part of Hawaii? Do you let like the UN islands be controlled by the US? I think you gotta make it like its own microstate. Oh, I think that's already pretty much what they're saying here. Yeah, this is its own microstate. It's like the Vatican, but for United Nation people. Having Germany win every single time in every single alt history is boring and overrated. 90% of the alt history fan community. How dare you, good sir. It is probably the most popular, easily the most popular alt history, which is weird because you would think you would see more scenarios of like the Soviets winning the Cold War, since that was like a pretty big recent major event that happened, but I guess it's harder for people to imagine that. Here's a world map showing only the most cliched alt history scenarios that are included in almost every single universe, or the most cliche map possible. Every alternative history cliche I could fit into a single post. This should be fun. Already, yep, Russia keeping Alaska, Quebec being independent. I don't know what this Imperial Federation is in Canada, and yeah, Finland is pretty normal. A Norwegian, Vinland, and then of course a Scandinavian union between Greenland and Iceland, and all of Scandinavia. Okay, that's a Nordic union, but all right. Oh, maybe that's a part of the cliche. So many people always get the name wrong there. The Great War would have had massive consequences for the world as the German Empire crushed the French and Russian empires, while the United Kingdom remained neutral as Belgium had been divided decades earlier. Okay, so this is basically World War I if Germany won. Of course, the Confederate States have to be there, and they were kind of trying to do their little golden circle thing. They ate up Cuba, but that was about it. Texas remains independent, and do we have like a Spanish a Spanish California, that is, Pacifica to be more exact. After the United States lost the American Civil War, instability spread rapidly while rebellions were crushed. Yeah, we have a balkanized North America. I don't normally see like a Rio Grande nation, but all right. Why thick Guatemala? All right, so there are some cliches in here, and then there are some like random ones too. I do like Haiti controlling this entire island. That's a cliche I've seen a lot. Gran Colombia has got to still be there. And then we have like older, thicker versions of South America, La Plata, Empire of Brazil. I would have loved if you like showed Antarctica, but without their like ice. Yeah, you don't see that cliche that often, but I have seen several posts about Antarctica and it's just being like green. What if Antarctica was green? So United Ireland, check. A communist France, check. Catalonia is independent, check. Portugal has Galicia. Belgium's gone. Poland, Lithuanian, Commonwealth. Turkey got divided. Union of Soviet Sovereign Republics. What the hell does that even mean? Why does France still have so many of their African colonies, yet the British don't really? Germany, of course, still has some of their German colonies since they didn't lose WW1. Some of them got independent. Oh, Madagascar, yep, because they thought about putting Israel on the island of Madagascar. And then, of course, the Great Congo Lake. That was a joint project. Oh, yes, gotta give Kurdistan there, and then Armenia. India's independent, but the British are still there. After the Bengali partition of 1905, places began to revolt, things like that. So they're pretty much still there, but there are also like a lot of divisions in northern India. So this map isn't just trying to just only include cliches. I like the fact that they're still trying to do something. Yeah, there's still like an old history behind this cliched world. Since Germany won the Great War, militarization kind of slowed down in Japan, and Japan just became a democracy. What the hell? An independent Philippines? No way. Indochina is united. I could see that. Indonesia is here, but is it no longer Dutch? The aftermath of the Great Emu War led to an overpopulation of emus in rural Australia. Okay, it's mostly been contained. You have to throw in an emu empire joke in something like this. This is really good. Oh, is this a democratic union of Soviet sovereign republic? This is, I think they're no longer communist because Gorbachev did something. They're like really powerful now or something like that. Not as powerful as Germany though, or Japan, or the British, or the Californian thing, or Texas. I really loved this. This was great. Oh wow, not including New Zealand was a part of the cliches. How brilliant. What if the Atlantic Ocean had more islands? And then the title, for some reason, put the emoji of the guy going like... I think that context is very important here. So we have New Glasgow, so the Scottish got to this one first. New Lisbon, so Portugal of course got that. I don't know what these Cornell Islands are. That looks maybe US. The Fox, the Angular Islands. Oh, perfect. Atlantis, we finally found it. Gotta have Atlantis in there. Cape Verde, and all right. I don't want to, is this an Italian island or something? Oh, there's even more down this way. You could start naming them like really crazy things, I think, when you start to get more and more south in the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, for God's sake, we have a place called South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. It's fun like trying to see what this alt history like assumed who would colonize this stuff. The fact that you didn't give them all to the British is it's interesting. But then again, this is probably like a 2022. They might have lost it, or who knows? Spain and Portugal definitely would have grabbed up a lot as well. The greatest India, or if India included the Indies. Finally, I've always been confused about that, why India and the Indies aren't the same thing. This place is literally called the Republic of Greater India. Holy crap, I didn't even realize you included so much of the Caribbean. That is the Indies too, I should have known. Come on, Drew. Oh yeah, and Indianapolis. That technically falls under this definition as well. India has Indiana. So I don't know why the flag of India is now red, but I guess it goes pretty well with their like huge empire now. It'd have the most population in the world with 2.6 billion, and the official languages would be all over the place for sure. English, Hindi, Urdu, Indonesian, and of course there are state level languages as well. So you are talking about so much of the Arabian Peninsula, Qatar and Kuwait, all of South Asia, all of it, Afghanistan included, even more, and up above the Himalayas, they get Tibet. They already had Myanmar and the British Raj before, but they also get Indochina, because that goes along with the theme as well. All of Indonesia. Not sure why the Philippines are included. This now becomes the East Indian Sea, negative 3,000 social credit. And of course, they extend all the way to West Papua here. Also a lot of islands out this way, because of course they'd get that. I like it. I'm sold. Let's do it, world. Let's make it happen. So in the West, the term India was historically used to refer to a broader region than the modern country. That's why we pretty much called everything India. That's why we have regions called the East Indies and then the West Indies as well. I never knew this. Map of the Northeast Asian Treaty Organization, or NATO if it was only Asian. Asian NATO. The acronym works here the same. Wait, no, I'm sorry. It's actually NATO. That's 100 times better. So this is going to be established sometime in the future in 2028. So of course, a military alliance with headquarters is in Japan. Big partners, Japan, Republic of China, Korea, and America. But it looks like the Philippines are somewhat involved. Are they like slowly trying to become a member of NATO? Because that'd be great, mate. Of course, the Russian Federation would not be a big fan of NATO. Is it possible to somehow pull in Mongolia? It would just suck because, you know, well, never mind. I was going to say, since their name is Northeast, can they really call in other countries outside of that part of Asia? But yeah, we have North Atlantic Treaty, and we kind of just have anyone join in. You don't have to be like near the North Atlantic. I'm just trying to think who else you can grab up. I mean, Vietnam would probably not join. Maybe Indonesia. You could probably get Australia and New Zealand. But yeah, this would be kind of a sad, lonely club, I think. If somehow magically China just becomes democratic, then they'll join. Wait, there's already something called CEDAW, the Southeast Asian Treaty Organization, and that one's got some pretty good members. USA, Australia, New Zealand. Oh, they don't have these three though. Those are key. But you have the Philippines, Thailand. This is definitely like some Cold War stuff that happened, huh? Wow, a lot of colonies of member states. But this is old. I see. The Siberian Emergency in 1959 to 1965, something really horrible happened in the middle of Soviet Union. Basically, a whole new state had to be formed to keep people out of that area. We have the form of contaminants there are radioactive wastes, mutated animals, hostile creatures, and infectious diseases. Possibly zombies in there. Established in 1959, but was only there for like 6 years. How much would this really affect Russia, honestly, though? I mean, wouldn't it be fun? And this is a huge chunk of territory, too. I guess this was a map referring to a real-life event where 9 Russian hikers died randomly in the northern Ural Mountains. The circumstances are uncertain. People were freaking out since one of the hikers captured what looks to be Bigfoot on one of the cameras. Okay, I'm actually getting scared. It's just standing there menacingly. All right, so basically, what if Bigfoot got contaminated by like nuclear substances, maybe? Or maybe a whole lot scarier things than Bigfoot. There's basically just like the Hulk running around in there.
And big thanks to my Patreon supporters.
Young Waifu,
Fat Nuts,
Gerbil Boy,
Why Am I Doing This?
Sussy Melody,
RyeThePie,
Nora the Bald Free Smiley
Philipp
Lover,
RF,
Orton 5610,
Drew's Argentinian
Alex Whitley is
Grandpa,
Mega Chad,
Alfonso M6,
aPhatNarwhal,
AryanAfterHours,
Bring Back
CW,
Polandball,
Canadian Union,
istoledrewspetdog,
Louise,
LuxembourgLover,
Majestic Unicorn,
Max Cooper,
McBlorf,
and Mimoshiki.